So, in the video I made a couple of days ago, I was talking about some of the best optional modes in the Resident Evil series, and we went over Mercenaries, we went over Fourth Survivor, Tofu Survivor was mentioned, but there was one I mentioned specifically, which was the Raid mode. This is a mode in the Revelations series, and honestly, I have to say, after playing the mode in the Revelations 2 for about a week or two now, it's severely underrated. Before we get into what it is, of course, we'll be going over, how it works, how to play it, what's kind of like the method to beating it and all that kind of thing. So if you're excited about Raid mode, or if you played it before and think it deserves more recognition, then drop a like on the video and obviously comment your thoughts on the mode. Remember to subscribe for daily Resident Evil content and weekend streams. And without any further ado, let's jump in. Alright, so to give you a premise on what the Raid mode is a 2-player cooperative mode which tasks you to enter certain arenas, which are locations usually from the mainline series and the Revelation series. To kind of give you an example, a few maps in Revelations 2 are from the Resident Evil 6 campaigns, there's some from Leon's campaign, there's some from Chris's campaign, there's some from Jake's campaign, there's locations from all of them, which is super cool. There's also a few maps from the first Revelations game, and they feel pretty nice to play. They're all like small areas of the levels, which you can play in. Most of the time the objective is to wipe out every enemy in the arena, and then, obviously when you've killed them all, a kind of medallion will spawn on the map, you hit that and then it completes the mission. There is some other objectives require you to defend certain objects, which we're doing in this gameplay, and some require you to reach a certain area in a certain amount of time, or clear an area in a certain amount of time. On top of that, on harder difficulties, and on normal difficulty as well, there's some modifiers that the enemies can come in with. Again, some examples of that would be an enemy will spawn in that is bigger than normal, so it's obviously more tanky, takes more bullets. There's some that are faster, there's some that explode upon death, there's some that kind of buff other monsters in the map, there's some that are shielded. There's a lot of variation going on, and that's not just with the buffs that they get, it's with the enemies you see. There's normal zombies, there's hunters, there's invisible things, there's big two-handed axe guys. There's a lot going on, and it always feels fresh, you know what I mean? Like, you jump into a mission in a different area with who knows what spawning in. For example, there's a couple areas where it's primarily hunters, there's a couple areas where it's primarily like dogs and stuff like that, so the difficulty depending on the enemy type varies as well. How the missions play out are in they're separated into 6 mini missions in things they call gauntlets, which is obviously just a category of mission. It goes from gauntlet 1 to 9, which gets progressively more difficult. There's 3 difficulty options, in terms of modes you can play on. There's normal, hard, and very hard. They, obviously, what you expect is the level requirement for the difficulties goes up. The enemy types come in a bit more buffed, a bit more varied than before. The same amount of enemies will still spawn in, that doesn't change. Just what you're fighting will be tougher and have more kind of buffs on them. But obviously the reward is greater, there's a better chance for higher tier loot, which we'll get to in a minute. And more XP gain off that as well. So definitely a lot of replayability, definitely a challenge, and again, like I mentioned previously in the extra modes video, it's a 2-player mode, so grab a friend, and to make that more accessible, this mode is free, technically. The game is free to play, you can download the first episode, completely free, and that unlocks Raid mode up until Gauntlet 4, which you can play through on normal, hard, and very hard, which the friend of mine in the video did with me. Appreciate that a lot, and I'll leave a link to his channel in the description. I think he's uploaded a couple of videos on this mode already, but yeah, check him out. But yeah, we're gonna go over now kind of weapon systems and characters and stuff like that, so strap in, because it's not too complicated, but it's not the simplest thing either. Okay, so in each level there is 3 chests you can open. Within these chests you can get either weapons or weapon parts. Weapon parts are essentially mod slots for weapons. Just to give you a couple of examples of what they could be, there's some that kind of make your bullets have a chance to set enemies on fire. There's some that let your bullets have a chance to freeze enemies. There's some that just increase the damage of the gun slightly, the reload speed, the accuracy, the shotgun spread, stuff like that. And you can also upgrade these mods with a workbench, which is in the hub area, which you'll immediately spawn into, so you know what I'm talking about. So it's that little room with a chair. I think if you finish Gauntlet 1 and 2, you unlock the toolbox. And essentially what that does, if you have two of the same mod, you can kind of combine the two to upgrade it to a higher level. The grind for those isn't too bad, you kind of get them just gradually. And it is random, so you're not guaranteed the same thing every single time. But there's not a massive amount. There is quite a lot, but you'll get a lot of the same thing fairly easily. In terms of weapons, again, same principle. You'll open a chest, it will come in with either no stars, half a star, a full star, a star and a half, 2 stars, 2.5 stars, 3 stars, and that'll obviously depend on the difficulty and the level you are. Obviously the higher the star, the better the item. In terms of weapons you can get, there's ARs, there's snipers, SMGs, shotguns, magnums, some kind of railgun, I think a friend of mine had. It's like an anti-matter gun essentially. So a pretty varied amount of weapons there. And they all have, you know, mods they can equip. Some have like exclusive mods they can equip. For example, you can't put the shotgun spread mod onto an assault rifle. It's for the shotgun. And other things like the sway down the scope on a sniper rifle, stuff like that. So they are kind of, some of the mods are restricted to certain weapon types, and you can make some pretty cool loadouts if you do experiment with them. Me personally, I usually rock a AR or an SMG, a magnum, a shotgun, and a sniper, just because it's kind of like the full deal. Like, that's usually what you would go with in, let's just say, Resident Evil Village, Resident Evil 4. You know, you have the pistol, you have a shotgun, a sniper, and a magnum, which we're just replacing a pistol with a machine gun in this game mode. And the weapon variation is very nice, and the customization with them is also very nice. In terms of characters have unique skills they start with. You can unlock these skills for other characters. You can kind of, if you level up the character skill to a certain level, you can inherit it, which essentially means that you can kind of give it to any character. Each character spawns in with specific things. I play as Hunk for the most part, and I believe he came in with an assault rifle proficiency, which makes him, I think, more accurate, and the reload speed increase for assault rifles, and an active camouflage as well. The base character you can play as is Claire and Barry, I believe. If you play the first episode of the main game, I think you unlock Moira and a couple other characters from Revelations. In terms of extra characters you get from raid mode, you can unlock Jill, Leon, and Chris. They're the ones I have. Again, they spawn in with specific things. I haven't really looked at what they are, but you can pick a character. They'll lock their weapon slots and their perk slots at different levels. They will kind of vary in that kind of regard. But at the end of the day, just pick who you want to play as, because eventually, after a certain amount of play and a certain amount of leveling, you'll be able to kind of use every weapon slot and use every perk slot with that character. Another thing to bear in mind with this game mode is it's not like a survival horror game mode. As you can probably tell from the gameplay, it's more of a go in, guns blazing, arcadey mode, which, you know, if you like Mercenaries, kind of the same premise. It's an arcadey mode, it's just for fun, and obviously you can play with a friend as well. You can do the entire thing solo. Obviously the extra challenge is there because it's just you, but again, like I've said, you know, you can play for free until about level 4 in the Gauntlet, and you can complete every single difficulty up to level 4, which will get you a reasonable amount of the way in terms of levels. After that, obviously if you own the game fully, you have access to every single Gauntlet, but if whoever you're playing with doesn't, you can always kind of find someone online. I'm not sure how active the game is in terms of random players, but you know, there's obviously the chance that if you play with a friend and they like it, they want to buy the full game. I believe at the time of recording this, the Season Pass is on sale on PlayStation at the very least. I'm not 100% sure, but might be something worth kind of investing in if you both enjoy it, because as someone who owns the whole game and has played through kind of a little bit more than just after tier 3, it gets a lot more fun and a lot more difficult, so the challenge is definitely there. But overall, I really enjoy it. It's a nice change of pace. I really like some of the extra game modes that Capcom releases for their games. You know, Mercenaries obviously being like the top tier one, and you know, even this is kind of really close to kind of being on the same wavelength as Mercenaries, at least to me. Obviously, we've already spoke about my favourite modes. Obviously, there's Fourth Survivor, this, Mercenaries, a couple mentions. You know, Tofu Survivor is really fun. Ethan Must Die is ridiculously fun and super hard, but that's probably why I love it so much, because it's hard. But yeah, I just want to take a moment to kind of talk about raid mode in a video and kind of like show it some appreciation. I know people love this, and when I made the video about Resident Evil Outrage, and there'll be another one coming out in a few days about that game, in terms of story, at least, if that is Revelations 3, like everyone seems to suggest that it is, will raid mode return? You know, someone even commented on that video, you know, is raid mode coming back? Obviously I can't answer that, but if it is a Revelations game, will raid mode be in it? I would hope so, because people like it. People who have played Revelations love raid mode, and you can definitely see why. But yeah, I just wanted to make a big video about the mode itself and go into detail about it and kind of explain how it works, and just, it is a lot of fun. And if you haven't played it, I would really recommend that you do. Again, no reason why not to. It is free after all. I believe this game is on PlayStation, Xbox, PC. It's on PlayStation Vita, which is weird. It's on Vita. I don't know if it's on Switch. I think it might be. But yeah, it's very accessible. So definitely check it out if you have the opportunity to, because I promise you, it's fun. And grab a friend as well, because obviously, a lot more fun when you're playing with someone else as well. Especially with someone who doesn't really play the Resident Evil games like my friend does, and it's interesting to see that they actually really like it. But yeah, that's going to do it. As always, leave your thoughts about raid mode in the comments down below. I would love to hear your thoughts. Leave a like if you did enjoy, and of course, subscribe for new Resident Evil content every single day. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you all tomorrow.